Welcome back to another edition of the Knight Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie O'Leary. We have a trifecta of commitments from the official visit weekend to discuss and a few other recruiting updates as well. But first, like always, this podcast is presented by Night and Day Apparel. Beat the heat this summer with our hot, one-of-a-kind products. With temperatures rising, there's no better time to refresh your wardrobe with cool and stylish summer essentials. Whether you're planning a beach getaway, a picnic in the park, or simply lounging in the yard, we've got you covered. Visit their website today to explore a full range of summer essentials from pool floats to spatulas to bathing suits and tank tops. Use our promo code Rutgers Rivals. You get 10% off your purchase. Shop now and keep chopping.
There, birthplace of college football. Kind of cool. Just saying.
I really like that one. Yeah,
that's not bad. I might have to get it for myself.
Yeah, they've got some really good stuff. I like their refreshed summer gear as well, heading into the hotter months of the year in training camp.
If you get a pool, if you have a pool, I mean, that float's pretty cool. You're not going to find that anywhere else. So.
Absolutely not. Let's dive right into these commitments, though. Rutgers continues to fill up its class. It is now up to 21 commitments, I believe.
I think so. It's hard to keep track.
It is. So our first commitment of the weekend was an offensive guard out of Florida, Gerrick Gordon. He's listed at 6'3", 282 pounds. I know it says he goes to Trinity Catholic High School, but you'll get into that. He's actually just transferred back to his original home school, high school. He's out of Ocala, Florida. Tell us a little bit about him, Richie, and how he ended up as a Scarlet Knight.
Yeah, so he just transferred back earlier today. I don't even know, like an hour ago, maybe a little longer, but transferred back to Carrollwood Day High School over in Tampa. It's a program that produces at a very, very high rate. They have several Power 5 guys in this class alone. He's actually going to be slotted next to one of the better offensive guards in the country in Zaire Addison. But besides the point, Rutgers offered back in March, got in a little bit later than most on this one. Several Power 4 offers: Georgia Tech, South Carolina, Miami, Louisville. I know last we talked to him, it sounded like Rutgers wasn't even near the lead, to be honest with you. Rivals had an article with him from our South Florida site back in May that said Georgia Tech, Miami, South Carolina, and Louisville were his main suitors. Rutgers got him scheduled for an official visit not too long after his unofficial for the spring game in April. And then, boom, they got him on campus this weekend and sold him. And that's kind of been the whole thing that's just been going on with every official visitor so far. They get him to campus, and instead of going from middle of the pack type offer, they go right to the top and boom, commitment. A couple unique things about him. He's a member of the Lifestyle Sports Agency, which is ran by Letitia Kinsler. He runs the football side of things. His son is actually a Rutgers running back, a walk-on, in Jordan Kinsler. Now, the other side of Lifestyle Sports Agency is the basketball side, and that would be ran by Omar Cooper, who's the founder and CEO of Lifestyle Sports Agency. If you don't know who he is by now, you're probably not a true Rutgers fan, let's be honest. Omar Cooper is the former AAU coach Ace Bailey and Jamichael Davis. Forced to have it by saying Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper. But big reason why those guys are at Rutgers. And Kinsler is actually responsible for a lot of guys in the state of New Jersey, state of Florida, kind of up and down the coast. Kaj Sanders is another notable one in recent classes. But this is just another really good offensive line commit for Rutgers. Get you an interior guy that can kind of play all three interior spots. I don't expect him to play center, but he could play either of the guard spots. Very strong, very long wingspan for a guard, 6'7" wingspan. Just really strong guy up front, and someone that you really want in the middle, kind of that mean streak type of mentality as well. And I think he does a really good job of getting to that second level of the in blocking, and it's just a really good pass protector. There's really not much else to say here. Like, he's just a very solid commit, 5.63 star, and 5.63 star in Florida is more of like a 5.7, almost borderline 4-star in Jersey, if you had to argue it. I mean, this is just a really good get. Beat out several Power 4 schools and another, what is this, the fourth offensive lineman, if you don't count the new one. You're muted, by the way.
Yeah. And we'll get into number 5 shortly. But the next commit of the weekend was Tariq Hayer. He's a 6 foot, 175 pound safety out of St. John's College in Washington, D.C. This is a kid who's very highly ranked. He's the third ranked kid in DC. He's a 5.73 star, so he's right on the edge. I know some services have him as a 4-star. Rivals has him at 5.73 star right now. This is a kid who it seems like a lot of high major school or Power 4 schools were all over. I imagine Maryland isn't happy because he was supposed to have an official visit upcoming with them, and he's from the area. Tell us a little bit about how Rutgers landed Tariq Hayer.
Yeah, not just Maryland. Michigan State's a little pissed off too because they were supposed to have him on June 14th. But as of right now, those official visits are canceled. Mind you, you still always got to stay on top of these kids because you never know when one of them's just going to go visit elsewhere. But Rutgers just did a really good job of recruiting them. They got them on campus, and same thing. Going into this one, I would have probably told you Maryland was the favorite with Cincinnati right behind them. Cincinnati had him on campus the weekend before, and they did a really good job with him. You saw all the tweets, the videos, and all that stuff. And traditionally, Rutgers really hasn't done that well in the Washington, D.C. area. Now, mind you, a lot of these kids are going to these prep schools, and they're just going to go to the biggest school possible, basically, whether that be NIL related, whether it be prestige related, or anything like that. But they haven't done really that well in D.C. He's the first player to join Rutgers from Washington, D.C. since Christian Braswell transferred in from Temple. And I got to give a shout out to Alec on this one because he went some deep diving to find this one. The first native of Washington, D.C. to commit to Rutgers since Greg Graves in 1999. That's just, I don't know how he found that one, but shout out to him. But yeah, no, I mean, they did a really good job here. They got him on campus. He loved everything about it. Schiano, he actually didn't commit until the very end. He didn't think he was going to commit. He went to Schiano's office, talked to him, and I don't know what Greg says to these guys, but it's just boom, done. I'm not going anywhere else. But another Mark Worthy get, really good addition. Well, technically Drew Lascari too. And you kind of saw this one coming the minute Drew Lascari puts out a tweet that says like chop 25. I forget what it was, like chop 25 incoming or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, no, another good DB get. That's 3 good DB gets in a row. That's 5.7, 5.7, 5.7. And Durilis, Michael Clayton, and now Tariq Hayer.
What's Hayer known for? Is he like a kind of hard-hitting safety? Is he a rangy guy? What does he specialize in?
So he's actually a guy that he just really has a good read on the ball. The minute it leaves, he's good at putting himself in the right position, whether it be pass deflections. Now, obviously, if his hands were better, he'd be a wide receiver. So he doesn't have the hands, but he's really good at just putting himself in the right spot. Really good in pass coverage. Just has a good knack for kind of reading the play and determining whether it's going to be a run play or a pass play. He can play up in the box a little bit as well. Now, mind you, like every other guy, I'm going to say this with every high school kid, especially the skill positions, you're going to have to put on some weight, some muscle. 6'1", 175, maybe. But let him add 15, 20 pounds. I think he could be a really good safety back there, whether it be in traditional pass coverage or even pushing up into the box, kind of like a Christian Izzian type role.
Yeah, I really like his tape, and I know how highly the staff and you guys have him rated. So huge get there. The last commitment of the weekend was also from the DMV area. This is Joshua Blackston. This is a 6'5", 275-pound tackle out of Dunbar High School in Baltimore, Maryland. And another good thing about all these commits, or at least 2 of the 3, those are really big-time programs in terms of high school programs in that area. So nice to get some inroads there. But Joshua Blackston, he's been rolling in the offers recently. As of March, he got an Ohio State offer, then he got Tennessee, then he got Penn State, Virginia, he got Michigan State you got Michigan State in May. But Rutgers, I believe, was his first official visit and closed things out. So tell us how Rutgers ended up with Joshua Blackston.
Yeah, they were one of 3 programs technically to have him on official visits, or that were going to have him on official visits this summer. Now I say technically because he was supposed to go to Maryland, but canceled it in favor of Ohio State. Now, mind you, Ohio State kind of had him on the back burner a little bit, which is fine. I mean, it's still an Ohio State prospect. He was still on their board, still got the offer. So, I mean, it's still a very big get. Because if they struck out elsewhere, they probably would have pushed heavily for him, and they still could, honestly. But I think Rutgers just did a really good job of selling him this weekend. It's just kind of on repeat almost. These official visits, these kids go on it. They just fall in love with the campus, fall in love with everything that's close, whether it be the Jersey Shore, New York City, the program in general. I know one thing he really wanted to see was like the recovery rooms and the strength and conditioning room. And You obviously got to see that this weekend, but they beat out just a ton of different programs here. And Pat Flaherty obviously is an easy selling point for linemen. You can point towards the development in his single year as an assistant coach, but also you can point towards his last 39, 40 years as a coach too.
That's very true.
Hey, here's a Super Bowl ring. You ever try this one on? Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Oh, I got another one. I forgot about that. Here you go. Like it's these are just very big gets for Rutgers. You're not only tapping into the DMV, which you haven't tapped into in a little bit now, but you're also beating out local rivals. You can call them rivals, whatever you want to call them. Pittsburgh, like Penn State, got offered this kid. Maryland, Boston College, specifically Maryland, because this is a Maryland program that's done really well under Loxley in the DMV. And now they seem to be struggling, and now it seems to be like Rutgers is taking advantage of that struggle. But a very, very good get.
Yeah, love this kid's tape. He just looks really athletic for a tackle, and the offers don't lie. He was a guy who a lot of programs had really highly rated, and Rutgers was able to just close it out. Now, obviously, Rutgers is on fire right now. You know, it could be just NBA Jam emojis to describe their NBA Jam GIFs to describe how good they're recruiting right now. I know that they're getting a lot of national attention. They had an article in the New York Times last week, also in The Athletic, about how Rutgers got 10 commitments out of a weekend. What do you think it is that is just convincing all these kids to commit en masse? Like, what is it? What is, if you had to just make your educated guess, what is the secret sauce of why Rutgers is killing it right now?
I think there's a couple things. I think if you notice, there's a lot of linemen, number one. And when you have defensive line coaches like Kim Penny and Colin Farrell, I know they haven't been here long, but they're very good salesmen. Combine that with like a Joe Harris-Simiak, who's a very good recruiter in his own right. Then on offensive line, obviously, like I just said, Pat Flaherty, his resume sells itself. And then you just point towards the improvement. It's the Big Ten, so kids want to play in the best conferences. I know, I forget which commit it was, but one of them said specifically, like, I think it was Chris Vigna, actually, wanted to test himself at the highest of high levels. And I hate to say this, but actually don't hate to say it. You're not going to get that in the ACC. You're not going to get that. You can argue maybe tiny bit in the Big 12, but honestly, there's only two power conferences now, and that's it. Big Ten, SEC. If you're not playing in those, you're probably not going to win it all, to be honest.
Yep.
So yeah, like that's a factor. Greg is just a really good salesman too. These official visits, obviously, you're going to show the entire campus, anything that's similar or close to campus. The Jersey Shore is an easy selling point. If for kids that aren't near the coast, like this is just a game changer. I feel like a little bit between the boardwalk, the restaurants. Now you're not going to get that every weekend, of course, but I mean, summertime, if you stay on campus, you probably will actually. New York City's down the street. You pitch them post Rutgers, post college, you're going to make money. And then you, of course, show them NIL as well. You show them presentations. You say, hey, like one of our players just made X amount of money doing, I don't know, like Ron Harper Jr. had a Dunkin' Donuts commercial. I'm sure you could even point to that if you really need to, because it's a Rutgers guy at the end of the day. But NIL, I'm sure probably plays a factor. I mean, you heard me before. Some of these kids have agents, like they're working with advisors. So it shouldn't be too shocking that there might be some NIL involved, but I don't think it's a promise. I think it's more of like, you can earn this when you get to campus. That's always been Schiano's pitch is, you can earn this, you can earn this, you can earn that.
Sure.
This player's making this much money. You could be him if you just produce. That's all you have to do is produce. And that's what I've kind of been told a lot of these Power 5 or Power 4 programs are doing now. They're not promising kids money up front. Mind you, some do. But most of these programs are just telling them like, hey, our players right now, like, our quarterback's making like, this isn't Rutgers, just to put this out there. Our quarterback's making like $1 million, $2 million. You could be that guy. If you just come on board and just produce like he does, you can be that guy. Now, mind you, again, I have to just say this, Rutgers is not paying their quarterback $2 million.
Yeah, thanks for that caveat. I'm sure Rutgers fans would have thought that you were talking about them had you not thrown that in there.
Yeah,
throwing them into a tizzy.
Kind of like, man, it's $2 million. Jesus.
Yeah. So 3 commitments. The class is filling up very quickly. 6 offensive linemen now. 7, like you said, if you count Myron Gurman. But one of the top players in the state of New Jersey is committing tomorrow on June 11th. He's also an offensive lineman, and we're hearing that Rutgers might be the destination, or Rutgers might be a favorite. Like, what's going on with the Jaylen? What's the newest news in the saga of Jaylen Matthews?
You know this already. It changes hourly. as of right now, he didn't name Rutgers a finalist. He told me specifically Rutgers is not a finalist. You see the graphics he's tweeted out. We've tweeted out a graphic. He told me it's Georgia, Miami, Tennessee.
Okay.
I've talked to some of these not coaches. I've talked to some of these insiders at other programs or cover other programs, similar to like what we do with Rutgers. We talk to other guys that covered those three schools.
Sure.
Georgia's been out of it for a while. Tennessee is interested, but I don't know how interested. Like the visit was canceled, so obviously he's not going there or didn't go there. And then he never made it to Miami this weekend. After talking to some of the Miami sources, they told me that they were unaware that they were even in the favorites conversation. So take that for what it's worth. The only visit he did make was to Rutgers. It seems like this is more of build up a little momentum and just out of nowhere, surprise. Here you go. Here's the hat. It's Rutgers or jersey, whatever T-shirt. I don't know. But I will be there tomorrow at Toms River North High School. I think it's at noon. So keep an eye on that. I'm going to try to live stream it. I don't know if it's going to work out well because you never know what the services in these schools. Most of the time it's god awful. But so stay tuned to our Instagram, our Twitter, or even our YouTube maybe. I'm going to try to make it work. If it works, great. If it doesn't, so be it. But I do have a good feeling that this might be Rutgers in the end. Yeah, that's going to be another offensive line commit. That's going to be another tackle. So just to put it in context, like Jaden Elijah tackle, Jaylen Matthews tackle. I was told a minute ago, actually, Josh Blackston is going to be an interior guy. That's a massive interior dude. So
okay.
6'5", 280. So it's going to be, those are Elijah Matthews tackles. Wynn and Vigna are where it gets interesting. They can kind of go either way depending on how they kind of develop and how they grow. I think Wynn is more of a tackle and Vigna is more of a guard. So if you're doing that, it's 3 tackles, 3 guards as of right now if they land Matthews. So that would make more sense, 3 and 3. But this is another massive offensive line class. They're going to try to you're not going to hit on all of them, as we've seen in the past. But if you hit on 2, it's a win.
Yeah, definitely. You're only going to hit at best at 50% of the time in these classes. So,
yeah.
So that's kind of all I got. Is there anything else you wanted to hit on before we head out of here?
Yeah, a little bit actually. So Greg Schiano talked this morning at his charity golf classic. So just for context, I wasn't able to make it. It was media availability. It was before the golf classic. I was there last year, placed second place, but unfortunately could not defend the title.
The second place title.
Second place title. First place was Sean O'Hara. The guy didn't even show to the post lunch thing after, and I'm like, I'll take his prize. Like, but yeah, no. My uncle had a golf outing today, so I unfortunately had to do that. I shouldn't say unfortunately, but anyway, Greg said some interesting things. Like I think he was quoted as saying Ethan Kaliakmanis was the way more accurate quarterback, and it played a big decision in him being the starter. So it's interesting for Greg to say that because old school Greg 2 or 1.0 Greg would never go on record saying that about a kid, I feel like. But
I have the quotes here if you want. I can read them. This is from Rutgers Wire. So he spoke prior to the start of the Greg Schiano Charity Golf Classic. Mm-hmm. He said regarding Ethan won the job this spring. It was a very, very good competition. Notice how he doesn't say very close. He says very good. I was really pleased because the quarterback room supported each other throughout the entire competition, and that's what I would expect. Mm-hmm. But you know what? When you get into these things, it can be dicey. These guys, they were great together. They supported each other. Ethan clearly won the job. So that's why we announced it when he did. Also wanted to make sure that whoever didn't win it in this day of modern college football with the transfer portal, that they had the chance to look around if they wanted. I think that's the wave of the future. And I think if your team knows that you're definitely there to win and make sure they get their degree, but also want to try to help them individually in their pursuit. Mm-hmm. I was hopeful that Gavin would stick around, but I understand why he would left and wish him only the best because he's a special kid from a special family. And then somebody asked a clarifying question. They asked, what separated Kaliakmanis from Winsat? The answer was pretty clear from Schiano. He said, I think his accuracy. I mean, it was pretty substantial, the difference. That is Greg Schiano, guys, saying that about his competition at quarterback. And for everybody who's ever...
Sounds like our podcast.
Anybody who's ever given us a hard time about, just critiquing any player at Rutgers, we've said we've been pretty outspoken about Gavin didn't really have a great year last year. This is the head coach saying that it was basically night and day, the competition.
See what we did there.
See that?
Night and day apparel.com.
So this is from Schiano directly. I think this is kind of nails the final nail in the casket on this argument / debate. But it was yeah, well, maybe you will, but it won't be at Rutgers. But yeah, this I think this is pretty definitive from the head coach, and he's not normally this candid about position battle. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and like I said, it's basically everything we've said all spring long rehashed. Like they needed a quarterback that's going to be accurate. Accuracy is the number one issue. Well, Gavin's he's not bad. Like he won a bowl game, and it's like, dude, if they had anyone else, I'm sorry, but if they had any other quarterback in FBS last year, they probably win at least one, maybe two more games. Like,
maybe not any, but yeah, if they got up to league average, probably, yeah.
If you had Ethan last year, I feel like you win one or two more.
Probably.
Put it like that.
And we'll see this year. I mean, Ethan's in Gavin's defense a bit. Ethan's going to have a way better sporting cast this year. So I do think like the comparison, if Rutgers does have a really standout year and Ethan puts up better numbers, there's going to be people who say, if Gavin had Ethan's supporting group, he would look a lot better too. And there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, every year is just like this little snapshot. It's really hard to truly compare one year to another, especially how different the schedule is going to be this year too. But I think we're going to see a much different, more efficient offense this year from Rutgers, and I'm just really excited to see what Kirk Soraka has in store for this Rutgers football team.
Yeah, and that's really all I can say on that. But it's just it's accuracy. Accuracy is king, and that's all you need from a quarterback. Kirk's preached it. Greg Schiano is saying it publicly now. I just find it interesting, like for him to say that. I feel like he's never said something like that in the past ever about a quarterback battle. So
yeah, yep. What else you got? It sounded like you had something. A second point.
No, not really. I mean, I was thinking out loud, but we will be able to see a practice soon for basketball. I was told.
Oh, interesting.
It will be before the end of the month. It sounds like. I know the guys don't get to campus. 6 of them are already there. So, 6 if you count the 3 that were already there. So maybe 9 are already there technically. But we will get to see our practice this month. We'll obviously tell you what it looks like and how it's going. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, baseball's losing bodies left and right, so that's fun. They lost the Pinckney brothers. I saw they lost their starting catcher. They did add a kid from Rhode Island, a pitcher and hitter, and I didn't think that was true. I just thought it was like, maybe he hits once in a while. Kid does actually both. He's done like 15 games pitching and like 25 games like batting. So, obviously college you can get away with that. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it. Waiting for another recruiting weekend coming up. I don't think there's as many official visitors. I don't know if we're going to have a pod or not, but there is 2 offensive tackles coming to campus. Interesting. Something to watch because they have 5, maybe 6 if you count Gurman, maybe 7 if Matthews jumps on board. So wouldn't be shocked if a couple of those got canceled. But I think that's really it. I don't think there's anything else, actually.
All right, guys. Well, thank you once again for listening. Again, say it every pod, but I want to thank everybody who subscribed, liked, commented, reviewed us, followed us on their favorite podcasting platform. It's really helped us a ton. We appreciate each and every one of you. But for me and Rich, this has been another edition of the Night Report Podcast, signing off.